5.8 billion euros. That's what Mercedes-Benz made in operating profit last year. And I know how that sounds. 5.8 billion is an enormous number. But here's the problem. The year before, Mercedes made 13.6 billion. So in the space of 12 months, the company that invented the motor car, the brand whose entire promise is built on the words the best or nothing, watched 57% of its profit disappear. 57%, more than half, gone in a single year. And it gets worse the closer you look. Net profit nearly halved. Earnings per share fell from over 10 euros to barely 5. Revenue dropped 9%. The dividend, the payout the loyal shareholders have leaned on for decades, got cut. This is not a wobble. This is the third year in a row that profit in Mercedes has fallen. The three-pointed star, the most recognizable badge in the history of the automobile, is dimming for the first time in a generation. And the story of how it happened tells you everything about what's gone wrong with the European car industry. Stay with me to the end, because this one only gets darker. I'm going to show you the market that used to be a gold mine and turned into a graveyard almost overnight. The 30,000 jobs now on the line. The German factories being gutted and shipped to a cheaper country. The humiliating U-turn where Mercedes abandoned the entire luxury strategy it bet its future on. And the moment the inventor of the car started selling off the family silver just to raise cash. Every number is real, and every one is worse than the last. Let's get into it. First, you have to understand what Mercedes was, because this is a fall from the very top of the mountain. Mercedes-Benz is not just a car company, it is the car company. Carl Benz built the first automobile under this name nearly 140 years ago. For most of the century that followed, Mercedes was the global symbol of having made it. The S-Class was the car heads of state were driven in. The badge meant engineering done to a standard nobody else could touch, and the level of status money could buy nowhere else. The best or nothing wasn't a slogan. For decades, it was simply true. This was the brand that set the benchmark. When any other manufacturer on Earth built a luxury car, the question in the boardroom was always the same. Is it as good as a Mercedes? The company was the fixed point the entire industry navigated by. It was, by any measure, one of the most valuable and most admired car brands in the world. And the engineering reputation was earned. For generations, a Mercedes was the car that simply did not wear out. The taxi drivers of the world ran the big diesel saloons to mileages that sounded invented. The S-Class introduced safety and comfort technology years before anyone else, and the rest of the industry spent the following decade copying it. People didn't just buy a Mercedes, they trusted it with their lives and handed it down to their children. That trust took 100 years to build, and that is exactly why what's happening now is so shocking. Because brands like this are not supposed to stumble. They're supposed to be permanent. And in 3 short years, the most permanent name in motoring has started to look very fragile indeed. If you've ever owned a Mercedes, ever aspired to one, or ever just respected what that star used to stand for, hit subscribe, because this channel tells you what's really happening inside the car industry, not what the glossy adverts want you to believe. And tell me in the comments, what's the best Mercedes ever made? Let's hear it. Now, back to the collapse. Here is the first big mistake, and like most corporate disasters, it was dressed up as a brilliant idea at the time. A few years ago, Mercedes made a decision. It looked at its lineup, full of sensible saloons and family cars that ordinary people could just about stretch to, and it decided it didn't want to sell those anymore. The plan was to go up market, way up market, chase the truly rich, push the prices up, drop the entry-level models, and reposition the whole brand around top-end luxury and fat profit margins. They called it the economics of desire. The theory was that selling fewer, far more expensive cars to wealthier people would make Mercedes more money and more exclusive at the same time. On a spreadsheet, it looked clever. In the real world, it quietly slammed the door on a huge slice of the people who kept Mercedes alive for generations. The aspirational buyer, the one stretching to put a star on the driveway for the first time, was no longer wanted. And once you push those buyers away, they don't sit around waiting. They go elsewhere. At the same time, Mercedes made the same bet half the industry made. It went heavily into electric, betting that buyers would switch to expensive electric Mercedes models quickly and in large numbers. And on top of both of those, the company leaned harder than almost anyone on a single market to deliver its growth: China. 3 big bets: go up market, go electric, bet on China. And one by one, every single one of them went wrong. Let's start with the one that did the most damage: China. For years, China was the engine of Mercedes. It became the company's single biggest market, eventually taking close to a third of every passenger car the company sold worldwide. The growing Chinese middle and upper class wanted the badge, wanted the status, and Mercedes sold them cars as fast as it could build them. The future looked limitless. The whole strategy assumed China would keep buying forever. Then the floor gave way. By Mercedes' own figures, sales in China fell by around a fifth in a single year, and by the start of 2026, it had got worse, with Chinese sales falling by more than a quarter, down to the weakest level in nearly a decade. A quarter of its most important market gone. And here is the part that should frighten every car executive in Europe. It didn't happen because Chinese buyers stopped wanting good cars. It happened because they found better ones, built at home. The Chinese car industry, the one Europe spent 20 years sneering at, grew up at terrifying speed. Domestic brands like BYD and tech giants like Xiaomi and Huawei started building electric and luxury cars that matched or beat Mercedes on technology and software, and undercut it heavily on price. They went straight for the premium segment, the fortress Mercedes always thought was untouchable. So the rich Chinese buyer who 5 years ago wanted a three-pointed star now had a faster, cleverer, cheaper, homegrown alternative with a screen that does more and a price that hurts less. The status flipped, and Mercedes, which had bet its future on Chinese loyalty, found that loyalty evaporating in real time. And the scramble to respond tells you how badly they were caught out. Mercedes is now racing to build the overwhelming majority of the cars it sells in China inside China itself, to cut costs and react faster to local tastes. Think about what that means. The company built its entire reputation on German engineering, on cars made in Stuttgart to a German standard. Now, to survive in its biggest market, it has to become a local Chinese manufacturer in all but name, because building them the old way simply cost too much to complete. The fortress didn't just fall. The people inside it are now trying to rebuild it using the enemy's own methods. The fortress was overrun, and the cars that were supposed to replace that lost business, the expensive electric models, weren't selling in anything like the numbers the plan demanded either. Two bets failing at once. Because that's the other bet that didn't pay off, the electric one. Mercedes, like most of the industry, read the future a few years ago and decided it was electric and fast. It poured fortunes into a new generation of electric car, set bold targets for how much of its range would be battery-powered by the end of the decade, and built its planning around the idea that buyers would switch over quickly and happily pay premium money for an electric Mercedes. That switch did not happen the way the boardroom promised. Buyers across Europe and beyond proved far more cautious about expensive electric cars than the forecasts assumed. Charging worries, high prices, and brutal depreciation all bit harder than expected. And in the one market where electric really did take off, China, it was the local brands cleaning up, not Mercedes. So the company found itself having spent enormous sums building electric cars that the wealthy buyers it was chasing weren't rushing to buy, while the combustion models that still pay the bills were being quietly starved of attention. Like Porsche before it, Mercedes has had to soften its electric timeline and keep its petrol and hybrid engines alive far longer than the grand plan ever intended. Another confident bet on one version of the future, and the future refused to cooperate. So now you have three failed bets stacked on top of each other. The march up market that pushed away local buyers, the all-in move on electric that the customers didn't follow, and the total dependence on a China that turned hostile. Each one alone would have hurt. All three at once is how you lose more than half your profits in a year. Now let's talk about the money, because this is where strategy turns into damage. When the accountants closed the books on 2025, the picture was grim from every angle. Operating profit didn't just fall, it collapsed by 57%, all the way down to 5.8 billion euros, and even that was well below what the analysts had been bracing for. Net profit fell by nearly half. Earnings per share, the cleanest measure of what the company makes for its owners, dropped from over 10 euros to barely 5. Cut in half. Revenue fell 9%. The average price Mercedes got for each car it sold actually dropped, from around 71,000 euros to around 68,000, which tells you the grand plan to charge more per car was going in reverse. The profit margin on the cars division, which had been a healthy 8%, fell to 5%, and the company's guidance for the year ahead was the most damning part of it all. It told investors not to expect that margin to recover much at all, and not to expect a return to the strong double-digit profits of the past until 2027 at the earliest. Then came the hit to the shareholders. The dividend, the annual payout, was cut from €4.30 a share to €3.50. On top of all of that, the company took around €1 billion of damage from American import tariffs, because cars built in Europe and shipped to the United States now get taxed on the way in. This is a company still selling nearly 2 million cars a year. It is not about to go bust. but the direction of travel is unmistakable, and everyone inside the building knows it. And now we get to the most revealing part of the story, what Mercedes is actually doing about it. Because the response is a series of reversals so complete they amount to an admission that the entire strategy was wrong. Start with the luxury plan. Remember the economics of desire, the great pivot up market. It's quietly being abandoned. Mercedes is going back to chasing volume, building a new wave of smaller, more affordable models, led by a new compact car to win back exactly the ordinary buyers it spent years pushing away. The company that decided it was too good to sell you an entry-level car has come back, cap in hand, asking you to buy one after all. Then the jobs. Mercedes has set out plans to cut up to 30,000 roles, 30,000 people. It's targeting billions of euros in savings, and aiming to slash the cost of building each car by around a tenth. And here is the brutal part for German workers. The company is cutting production in Germany, its home, and shifting work to Hungary, where the labor costs around 70% less. It's outsourcing entire departments like finance and human resources. It's closing a plant in Mexico. The proud German engineering giant is being taken apart and rebuilt in whichever country is cheapest, because the margins no longer allow for sentiment. Sit with that for a moment, because it's the heart of the whole story. Mercedes-Benz, the company that turned the words "made in Germany" into a global guarantee of quality, has decided that making things in Germany now costs too much. The factories in the towns that grew up around them, the skilled jobs handed down through families for generations, the entire idea that a Mercedes is a German car built by German hands, all of that is now negotiable because the numbers say so. When a company's own identity becomes a cost to cut, you are watching something far bigger than a bad year. And then the clearest signal of all. To raise cash while profits are under pressure, Mercedes signaled it would sell off part of its large stake in the truck business it used to own outright. When a company starts selling its valuable assets to free up money, that is never a sign of strength. That is a company shoring up its defenses. Put it all together. Abandon the strategy, cut 30,000 jobs, move the factories abroad, sell the assets. This is not a company tweaking its plan. This is a company in full retreat, trying to survive a future that arrived faster and harsher than it ever expected. So what does it all mean? Step back from the numbers and look at the whole thing. The Mercedes collapse is not really the story of one company having a bad year. It's a warning written in the accounts of the one brand everyone assumed could never fall. For decades, the European luxury car makers believed three things were permanent: that their engineering would always be the best, that China would always want them, and that their badges would always command a premium nobody can challenge. Mercedes built its whole future on those three beliefs, and every one of them has now been proven wrong. The technology lead has gone to China. The Chinese market has turned from a gold mine into a battlefield they are losing. And the badge, the most prestigious badge in the entire industry, turned out to mean a lot less to a buyer who can get more car for less money with a different name on the bonnet. This is the same disease tearing through the whole European industry. Porsche has it, Audi has it, Volkswagen has it. Every premium European maker that bet big on going up market, big on electric and big on China, is sitting there right now doing the same painful sums. Mercedes is simply the biggest and proudest name to be caught out in the open. The age when a great European badge was a guaranteed license to print money is ending, and if it can happen to the company that invented the car, it can happen to absolutely anyone. So I want to hear from you, because this community understands the real value of a car better than any boardroom in Stuttgart. Do you think Mercedes can claw its way back from this, or has the magic gone for good? Would you still pay the premium for that star today, knowing what you now know? And here's the big question. If even Mercedes can fall this far this fast, which famous name do you think falls next? Tell me in the comments, and tell me where in the world you're watching from. And if you think a German giant losing half its profit is dramatic, wait until you see what happens when a car empire doesn't just stumble, but dies completely. Because the next story is about the most catastrophic collapse in motoring history. A giant that once built nearly half the cars in the entire country and then vanished off the face of the earth. It is one of the greatest industrial disasters, and you won't believe how it happened. Hit subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.